Why 76% of Canadians are packed in a tiny area near the US border. Canada is the second largest country in the world, but its population is only around 38 million. That's just 6 million more than the city of Chongqing, China. Moreover, 50% of Canadians live in one tiny area. It's a densely populated stretch of Ontario and Quebec. Around 10 million live in Toronto and Montreal. That's more than 1/4 of the country in 2 cities. Why is all that land empty? The main reason is agriculture. The best arable land has always been in Canada's south. Obviously, the north is much colder. Farming was what attracted people to the south. Commercial agriculture gave rise to settlements. By the time industrialization arrived, the matter was settled. It made sense to build factories where there were people, so the north remained largely unclaimed. Today, 90% of Canadians live within 100 miles of the US border. However, there's a more fascinating reason, and it has to do with geology rather than climate. More than half of Canada is covered by a strange rocky formation. It's called the Laurentian Shield. The shield lies like a gigantic collar around Hudson Bay. This formation is made up of the stumps of ancient mountains. They've been ground down by the action of glaciers. It's a wilderness of rocks, lakes, and woods. Long ago it blocked the advance of settlement. There were only 3 purposes humans could find there. At first, it was the fur trade. Fur trappers would venture far into the wilderness to hunt. But this was a relatively small-scale business. There were a lot more farmers and craftsmen than trappers. Later, people found 2 more uses for all that wilderness: logging and mineral mining. The Laurentian Shield literally cuts Canada in 2. The east is separated from the west by a huge, sparsely inhabited area. There is no Midwest in Canada. Another peculiarity of Canadian geography is the Maritime provinces: Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Maritimes are set apart in the far east of the country. They're much smaller than any of the other 6 provinces. They're almost cut off from the rest of Canada. There's a rough mountain range, plus the northern salient of Maine. British Columbia is another weird example. It stretches from Washington State to Alaska and beyond, but the vast majority of its population is packed into Vancouver. Finally, there are the 3 northern territories: Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. They occupy 40% of Canada's landmass, but they have more icebergs, seals, and polar bears than humans. Most places have no roads leading into them. They're totally isolated when weather makes their travel difficult. More than 90% of the land in the north is uninhabitable. It's a barren wasteland of rock, ice, and snow. The inhabited parts are not much easier to live in. Winter temperatures often dip below -40 degrees Fahrenheit Celsius. Few countries in the world are as physically disjointed as Canada, but Canadians still have a sense of national identity. How do they manage it?